ScribbleTalks, Ep.8. I'm here with my guest, Stefania Ferrario. She is a model based in Melbourne, Australia, a part of Bella Management. Stefania, how are you?
Hey Vince, I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for being part of this interview. I really appreciate you taking the time to meet with me, and I'm excited to get into these questions today.
My absolute pleasure. Me too.
All right, so first off, what do you love most about what you do?
Well, what I love most about modeling is the fact that I can express myself in different ways, I suppose, whether that be through putting on different outfits, pulling different facial expressions, playing with light, communicating with the photographer as well, can bring out different emotions. I can explore myself more. So I guess it's just that, yeah, it's that self-expression that I love the most about modeling and the artistic aspect to it.
Got it. And how long would you say you've been doing this?
I have been doing photo shoots for 12 years and it's been professionally for 8 years. So for the first 4 years, I was sort of just organizing shoots with photographers, time for print, test shoots we call them, where we both exchange our time and we get images at the end of it. And then it was 4 years in that I got my first big commercial job. And so, yeah, it's been 8 years
8 years?
professionally.
Okay, wow, incredible. So in with your 8 years, can you speak to some of your most memorable shoots? Are there one or two that you just have in your back of your mind?
Well, my first two big commercial shoots are probably my most memorable, I'd say. One of them, well, my first ever commercial shoot, my first big job was for a series of commercials across Australian national TV with a UK celebrity called Gok1 at the time, and he would do styling and stuff, and he came to Australia to film these commercials, and I was one of the leading models in them, and I was so excited, and I'd never seen sets like that before with all these big lights and all these people running around. I was like, what's that person doing? What's that person doing? Just so many people. It was like something out of the movies. So it was incredibly exciting. And to have that as my first big job was just mind-blowing. And then my second job was with Dita Von Teese, who is an amazing burlesque performer. And she had a line of lingerie at Maya, which is a department store in Australia. And I got picked as one of the main models and I got to stand next to her. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, is this really happening? So they would be two big memorable shoots. And then I guess I just love all the shoots I do because I'm always like, I can't believe they want me here and I'm doing this as my
Right.
job. I love it. But then last year I went to Edgar's Mission, which is an animal sanctuary just outside of Melbourne. And I took some photos with all the animals there. So that was also really memorable.
Right. And I've seen some of those photos. They're very nice. So you basically use your platform as an advocate for body positivity. That's something that you speak on heavily. Also, animal rights and the vegan lifestyle. So why do those subjects, why are they so important to you, and why do you use your platform to focus on those three?
Well, body positivity is something that I've experienced firsthand trying to come into the industry. I always had this idea that in order to be a model, I had to be stick fit and I had to really fit into certain measurements. I wouldn't be able to model if I didn't fit these certain measurements. And so when I was 16 and decided I wanted to be a model, I didn't know how or anything like that. But I knew I got to be skinny though, right? That's the main requirement to be a model. So I did everything I could to try and remain skinny. I'd try and eat less. I'd walk lots. I did all these crazy things. So I personally really struggle with body image and trying to fit in this mold that I thought was required by society and the industry. And I couldn't do it. And eventually I found out that you could do modeling even if you weren't a size 2, 4 US. You could be a size 8 US or 10 US and still be modeling or bigger. And so when I discovered that that was a possibility, I was very excited and I was started to get embraced by the industry. And I thought, hang on a second, like, why isn't it just accepted in broader society, this difference in body sizes? And unfortunately in the modeling industry, even if you weren't a size 2 or 4 US and you were a size 8, say, or a 6, you would be called plus size. And I remember thinking, that's a bit weird. But what was really bad was when media outlets and things would report on models that weren't a standard size and they called them plus size, that the public these young girls were just going, well, if she's plus size, what am I? So it really skewed their image of themselves. And so I thought, well, this isn't right. The modeling industry has done enough damage. And to top it off, they're calling everyone that's not this specific skinny size plus size. And I just thought, nah, this won't do. So I started a campaign called Drop the Plus, which ended up going viral. And I think a lot of people could relate to it because they thought, yeah, it is absolutely absurd to be calling, you know, these average size women plus size. It messes with your mind and your body image. So yeah, I mean, it's just being in the modeling industry, not fitting that standard size, seeing these ridiculous labels being thrown around really propelled me into speaking out more about body image and hopefully making a change. And I think I have, and I have a lot of women that are very excited. Also, hip dips is another thing that I've done a bit of talking about on my social media. I don't know if you've heard of them. Have you heard of hip dips?
I have.
Yeah. So it's those divots in the side of the hips, which are so normal anatomically. That's what we have if you look at a skeleton. But there's this idea that, you know, you've got to have these rounded hips, and there's just all these ideas and everything and around body image that we're breaking down slowly. And I think social media and influencers and body positive people have really helped to sort of break that sort of stuff down. So I'm excited and honored to have been a part of that movement and to still be a part of that body image movement.
Right. And to kind of segue with that, I know in one of your previous interviews, you mentioned that some of the backlash you received from as far as being body positivity or body positive, curvy, the backlash was from women. You noted that women aren't as supportive as other women as they should be to kind of knock down those stereotypes and build each other up so that they don't feel so body conscious whether it's, you know, your arms, your legs, your thighs. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, as a female, and you would think that we'd all be supporting each other, I guess, you know, this womanhood, this sisterhood, but unfortunately there does seem to be a little bit of nastiness, or there can be amongst women, where I feel like sometimes we can be our own worst enemy. You know, we might slut shame each other, or we might point out certain things, or I don't know what it stems from, whether it's jealousy or insecurity or this general sort of discomfort we have within ourselves, which is perpetuated by the media and things. And so that ends up coming out towards each other as females. But I was surprised because growing up, I remember at school when I first decided I wanted to be a model, there were some nasty comments from females. And then also just in my personal life, I would get slut shamed by women I knew, you know, making comments about the sort of photos I'd take or the size I was, or using the word plus size as an insult, which often gets used, you know, oh, she's a plus size model kind of thing. I just think it's a shame. And it also ends up opening the door to, I think, yeah, you know, men as well, slut shaming women. It's just, it's a yucky sort of circle, and I hope that we can break it down. And I feel like things have been better in more recent times, but I don't know, who's to say? It's just, it is shocking when we can be our own worst enemy.
Right. And how did you navigate that, you know, having such a, you know, a large platform yourself? I mean, I don't think you would let it get to you, but, you know, every now and then you'd probably read something that would, you know, get you down. How did you kind of deal with that?
I think it's just getting used to it. You're sort of just like, oh, there's another comment. Actually, I said that things were getting better, but then I remember this morning I was lying in bed reading through comments. So I've been doing what's called these lingerie protests, where we go out into the middle of the city and we hold up signs about animal rights, and we're in lingerie. And I came up with this idea with another animal rights activist, because I've gone out and stood in my underwear for photo shoots, or for the Dita Von Teese job that I spoke about earlier. We were in the street in the city of Melbourne wearing lingerie, but it was fine because it was for a brand and it was fashion. And then we went out and we did it for animal rights. And I was just lying in bed this morning reading the backlash from a video that was posted on a big animal rights vegan page this morning. And all these women are just like, what are they doing? They're, what do they say? Objectifying themselves. This is a terrible way to spread the vegan message. Men are just going to think this, and just being really negative about the entire thing. but I'm so used to it now that I just forget, yeah, things are getting better. No, I'm just getting better at hand. It's just normal now that to read these comments by the dozens. I'd say at least like 60% of the comments of the 300 comments under that post were questioning what we were doing. And I'm just thinking, hang on a second. Sex is used to sell all kinds of things in the media. You turn on the TV, there's a woman scantily clad. You walk through the shopping center and there's pictures of women scantily. It's used to sell things all the time. But yeah, when it came to doing the animal rights stuff, it's just the comments are so negative and it's all women. Yes, there's a few guys chiming in here and there, but surprisingly, it's a lot of women basically telling us what we're doing is awful. And I just think, hang on, shouldn't you empower women or support women to express themselves how they please in today's world? Isn't that the whole idea, that we should be able to express ourselves and be ourselves, you know, without feeling like we have to conform to something? But no, anyway.
Right. Especially for, I mean, if you really look at the cause and the importance of it, you know, you would assume that that would change the minds of those making such comments or feeling a certain way about it. But why does that cause why is that cause so important to you to promote on your page?
Yeah, well, having a big platform, you know, over 1 million followers on Instagram and 500,000 on Facebook, it's like, oh, wow, that's amazing. It's all well and good, but, you know, what am I doing with it? I've talked about body positivity, which is fantastic, and I think that I've made great change there. And then I discovered, I think it was in 2015 or 2016, I watched a documentary called Cowspiracy on Netflix. Now, I already had this underlying sort of feeling of what I was doing was wrong. My lifestyle was wrong. You know, what I was eating, that's not right. I knew it, but I didn't know it. And then I watched Cowspiracy, and it went into grave detail about what is happening, especially environmentally, when it comes to animal agriculture. So for example, like 80% of the destruction in the Amazon is directly due to animal agriculture, whether that be growing crops to feed animals or clearing areas for pastures to raise animals. It's just unbelievable. I could go into detail for basically every environmental ill you can link back to animal agriculture, and I was just shocked. I thought, okay, if I didn't have reason enough to shift my lifestyle and the way I live, hearing all this environmental catastrophe on top of it is just that I just thought, you know, there's no excuse. I need to be vegan. I need to do what's right. But it took me years, I think, because there was this disconnect. There was this psychological block of, oh, you know, it will be really hard. You know, how does someone do that? You know, but it wasn't. As soon as I did it over 2 years ago now, 1st of January 2020, it was remarkably easy. And I guess I just want to explain that to people, you know, put the message out there, explain what's going on environmentally, explain what's going on in factory farms, of which 99% of animals in the US, for example, are factory farmed, 95% in Australia. So I just want to get the word out there, talk about it, use my platform, which it'd feel like a crime almost if I had that many followers and I didn't, you know, have something to talk about that was important, that could help shift the course of our future. So I do find it really empowering to talk about it. The backlash is unbelievable, even from vegans. You know, it was vegans that were having a go about the lingerie protest. And then, of course, animal eaters have a go because they don't want to hear about it. And
Right.
then I lose tens of thousands of followers. And it's just like, but at least I feel semi-fulfilled. And I feel even if, you know, you change a handful of people, the ripple effect is phenomenal because they'll end up affecting people and so on and so forth. But I'm very passionate about it. I've always loved animals. And then when I watched Cowspiracy and then Seaspiracy, Game Changers, there's quite a few on Netflix, I just felt conned, I suppose. I felt like I'd been brainwashed. I'd been brought up in some kind of meat-eating, animal-sacrificing cult my whole life. And I was like, what the hell? And yeah, I guess that is a big reason why I talk about it a lot, even if I'm losing followers and getting backlash.
Right. Well, first off, I admire and respect that because it does take a lot of guts to speak on, you know, several issues like that, and to know that the backlash is coming, but it's something you're really passionate about, and you're going to continue to send that message forward.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, with all that being said, having that platform, speaking on the various issues, you know, you've been in the industry professionally for 8 years. How have you found it difficult at sometimes to stay true to yourself, whether it was working for a particular brand or a marketing or an idea where you felt like, oh, am I losing myself in these brands or companies, or is it kind of in a way removing me from myself? And this is from the whole mental aspect as well.
Yeah, definitely. I have worked with, unfortunately, I'm going to be honest, I've worked with fast fashion brands. So in the past, I've worked with, yeah, brands like Fashion Nova, Pretty Little Thing. And at the time, I thought, oh, this is great. I'm getting work. I've got posts to put up. I'm getting paid. It's fantastic. And then I thought about it and I thought, hang on, yeah, I'm losing myself. I don't really want to be promoting these fast fashion brands to all of my followers, every week. I think it was 2 posts a week. One of the contracts was, plus try on hauls on YouTube. And I was just excited to be getting work. But then thinking back, I thought, no, I can't actually, I shouldn't be doing this. It's not who I am. And I don't want to be pushing these big brands to my followers, especially considering now that I'm using my platform to talk about veganism and animal rights and body positivity and things like that. I don't want to be making the waters murky, I suppose, by adding in these things that I don't believe in necessarily. So I ended up turning down, I think it's been at least 2-3 years now that I've turned down those big fast fashion brands. And last year it's a different fast fashion brand, but I got offered a big photo shoot, travel, all of that. And I just said, look, I don't think I can do it anymore. So I think it was last year I started really just starting to turn them down more. It's unfortunate because it's my work and, I don't want to be turning down jobs, but I've got to try and stay true to myself. And if I'm in a position where I can turn down certain things, I will. The other thing that I've done in recent time, I think it was early last year. Anyway, more recently, I said to my agent, I need a clause in the contract. I need something that says that I won't wear animal products. So whether that be, cow skin, leather, fur, wool, Angora, God, the list goes on, silk. I just said I don't want to be modeling those things. So if I'm doing a fashion job or an e-commerce shoot, or feathers as well, I don't want those things on set. Like I don't want to model them. And my agency was actually really obliging and really understanding. And they were like, yep, sure, that's fine. We'll add that clause in. And clients have been really good. I've had a couple of incidences where the message hasn't gotten across, and for some reason I arrive on set and there's a wool thing, and I've had to say, hang on, I won't wear that.
Right.
But overall, it's been pretty positive. But I'd say my work has suffered a little bit due to, trying to be true to myself and not lose myself so much. It is tricky, and I do make mistakes along the way, but I'm trying.
Right. And how would you say the pandemic affected you? I mean, for one thing, I know it definitely affected your work, but you personally.
Well, I didn't think that it affected me. I thought I was fine. Work definitely was a lot slower. Mentally, I thought I was fine. I was like, I'm fine. I'm doing great. Like, da 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 da. And then I think late last year, when we had a phone call, I was in the midst of a mental breakdown. And I was just like, I mean, at the time, I didn't realize it. But once I came out of that state that I was in, that mental state I was in, I was like, oh my God, I was not okay. I turned to smoking a lot of pot. I was self-medicating. I was very stressed. There was stuff going on in my personal life. And yeah, it just led to another mental breakdown. It was just funny because, yeah, for 1.5 years, I thought I was fine. And I obviously wasn't.
All right. How did you kind of tackle that to realize, okay, something is wrong? How did you bring yourself back?
I had a lot of support from friends, family, and even my agency. The owner of Bella Management, the CEO, she sort of came in and helped me. She knew that things were awry. So she swooped in and helped me. My family helped me from afar. So it was really, luckily I had a support system around me that knew what was going on and was there to help. Unfortunately, I know that's not the case for a lot of people
Right.
during this pandemic. So I'm lucky in that respect.
All right. Well, I'm glad and happy to hear that you are much better and that you did have that support system. And it's unfortunate, like you said, that most people don't have that. And that's why there's such a big issue with that around the world, and you hear about it more often. How would you say that you have maintained your composure, from dealing with all these things that have occurred in your life? And of course, you don't have to speak on the personal things, but how do you think you've maintained your composure? I mean, even now.
I'm like, have I maintained my composure? um,
As
look,
best you can, it seems, right?
yeah, best I can. I guess it's an act in a sense as well. I've been to some modeling jobs recently, and my mind's been a bit preoccupied thinking about things that have happened or scenarios or what I've done embarrassing myself during my mental breakdown. And so my mind's replaying these sorts of things. And I guess I've just got to push through it. And I'm hoping it's just a waiting game. I think things are getting better, but it's tough. Like mentally, it's tough. And I keep replaying things in my head about what happened at the time. And yeah, I just hope that I can move forward. So it's a bit of that fake it till you make it is how I'm maintaining composure, I suppose, a little bit. It looks like I'm fine. No, I'm certainly, compared to where I was 4 or 5 months ago, I'm doing fantastic. But it's a road. And I've been down it before, so I'm hoping that I can go down it again and everything will be all right soon.
Right, absolutely, and come back on top. That's for
Yeah.
sure. That's for sure. So, and for someone in your position, someone who is, um, I mean, in a way, you're a celebrity. In a way, you have a lot of fans. You're known, internationally. But there's this idea that people, in your position, oh, they don't really have any problems. Like life is good. That's what you see on Instagram. You see the gold, the glitter and the gold. You don't hear about, oh, this person did have a mental breakdown. This person did deal with personal things to where they had to remove themselves from their industry, sometimes temporarily, and sometimes people are removed permanently because it's gotten the best of them, whether it's a substance abuse or drug related things. And I think you speaking on that, honestly, um, means a lot. And I think for people that would watch this and hear you say that, people that follow you, it'll give them a whole new view into kind of who you are because you only see so much on Instagram.
Yeah, definitely. I only put up things that sometimes I feel guilty about. I'm like, should I post myself having a mental breakdown? Should I post myself crying? Sometimes in the midst of my mental breakdowns, I have posted stuff. And then I look back and I'm like, God, that's so embarrassing. Like, I can't believe I
Right.
posted that. But yeah, it's true. We see the highlight reel, that classic highlight reel. Um, but I've been having thoughts recently where I'm like, do I want to model? Do I want to completely remove myself from the industry because I have struggled so much mentally that I've been having second thoughts about it, doubts about my work. Do I want to keep going forward? Do I want to be in the spotlight in case something terrible happens in my life and then it's public? It is a scary thing. And yeah, even though people might think that our life is glitz and glamour, mine certainly is at certain points, but then a lot of the time it isn't. It's like
Right.
anything else. And then, yeah, we end up self-medicating. I think, it can affect anyone of any position in life, things going awry like this, mental health issues. Yeah, no one's immune to it.
Right. And I think my reason for saying that was because I think about a young girl who may be following you, right? And she sees, oh, you're doing so amazing, you're so beautiful, you don't have any issues, and then you speak on something like this, and it's like, oh wow, maybe it's okay for me to voice those same things to people in my circle or people that I'm close to. So I feel like it can go a long way. And again, I admire it for you just speaking and being open about it because it can do so much for others down the road.
Yeah, I hope so. So this conversation's fantastic. So thank you for giving me the platform today to feel at ease and to be able to feel like I can talk about these things. I do really appreciate it because I'm not going to get on my own social media and just start talking about it. So this is a great portal for it.
Oh, thank you so much. And so to get to, I guess, more positive things, what do you have planned for 2022?
Ah. This is the thing. You're like, let's get to more positive things. And I'm like, well, just getting through my mental barriers is the goal. I also don't really know where I'm moving to in a sense because I'm moving out of this beautiful house that I've been in for 2 years. And I'm thinking, do I get a little apartment? Do I go and stay with my parents in Canberra for a while? So everything's a bit up in the air with me, and I'm hoping for 2022 I can just make it through and be in a good mental state. I don't have these big grand plans as such. I do want to do a bit more animal rights activism, talk about it a little bit more, maybe come up with some different forms of activism to get the public interested. So it's just, I have little goals, I suppose. Although, yeah, coming to good terms with my mental health is a big one.
Got it. Any shoots, upcoming shoots planned?
Um, Let me think. No, everything's a little bit quiet at the moment. I have had just about recently of some shoots. I was in Sydney for a lingerie job a couple weeks ago. And then this week I had a lingerie one in Melbourne and another fashion one for hair. So yeah, it's been pretty good. The start of the year's been good. I've had a few jobs. But other than that, no. Sometimes with modeling, it's interesting. I don't know if I've got a job until the day before or that week. Things sort of come up. It's good and it's bad. Like I would like routine. I would like to know, what's the year looking like? But I sort of, yeah, you don't always know, which adds a bit of excitement, but at the same time, your life is a little bit like, whoa, what's going on?
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess to add to some history of this, so I've been following you since maybe 2014, 2015. And I would always see these shoots. It was me and my best friend. And we're like, wow, like she looks amazing. Like she's doing all these things that we've never really seen before. In my opinion, I had never really seen people do shoots like this or be as confident as well. So years later, I'm thinking, there's no way I can possibly meet this person or interview this person. And lo and behold, 2018, somehow we were able to meet up in New York. I was already in New York, and you happened to travel to New York, and I sent a DM, hey, I'm trying to do an interview for my blog. Do you want to be a part of it? And somehow or another, it worked itself out. And I just think over the years, from what I've seen from you, you've always put out quality work. Anytime you've spoken, live or what you've shared, it's always been positive. It's always been good things. And you just seem to love what you do and have a light about you. And I just appreciate that. I appreciate your work and, you taking the time to chat with me about all this.
Oh, thank you so much. No, I loved our interview back in 2018. I've watched it over several times and I just think, oh, it's so fun. And then we bumped into Andre 3000 and we went on all these journeys, unexpected journeys around the city. Yeah, I loved it. And I've loved today's chat as well. So it's been a pleasure. I do this thing where sometimes I get these intuitive feelings of, someone might contact me and they might just be a small time photographer or and it could be anybody. And I get a feeling of like, I have a good feeling about this. I'm going to do it, which is what happened with you. I have a good feeling about him. I reckon we should do a little interview. And it ended up fantastic. So I'm really glad.
Right, right. I think so too. Definitely a memorable moment for me as well. And just being in New York and just enjoying the city to the fullest, for sure.
Yeah, it was fun.
All right. Well, Stefania Ferrario, everyone. She's from Melbourne, Australia, a model with Bella Management. Thank you so much for meeting with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. My pleasure.
All right. Take care.